And cue. Oh, God.
And so it begins.
There you are.
Hey!
Except that's you.
No, that's you.
Yeah, that's you. It's supposed to be here.
There we go.
Oh,
What a car crash. Good evening.
Yay!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the almost semi-pro, totally amateur synth network.
Come on,
It's Friday, the 8th of November. And apparently competence will happen at some point, but probably during the next show. We've got weather out there. It's cold. Here it's just after 7-ish GMT, which is a very British way of saying 7-ish, you know, dinner time or tea time, depending whereabouts in the maybe even scrum time. Scrum. Ooh. In certain parts of the UK. And welcome. Yeah, we're in the rundown to Christmas. I wasn't going to be here this week, but I am, you poor things. So why don't we get all the housekeeping out of the way first? Although before we do that, you do have to know that I've been taking drugs today for this show. I've had a gram. Yeah. Lemsip, but you know, I've got a sniffle. What can you do?
It was Vim.
Well, I was hoping, and clearly I'm going to be the prettiest person here. So revel in me for as long as you can. We're going to get some of the housekeeping out of the way. Well, we took a vote, didn't we? I took a vote by myself, and I was the prettiest. So if we look at that, see, like, comment, subscribe, share. So, as you're watching tonight, I'm sure many of you will be. I hope. Probably 3 left at the end. If you wouldn't mind doing us the enormous favour of liking, commenting, subscribing and sharing far and wide so we can get lots and lots of people watching the show. It all helps. The likes really do help. You can also hit dislike, but the penguin of death. Yeah, the penguin of dislike, penguin of death. And now, apparently, there's even a seal of approval. So if you do like, you get the seal of approval. Dislike, penguin of death. There we go. So yes, do all of that stuff. Share far and wide. If you feel so minded, you can donate via PayPal, which is a lovely thing. You can also donate via YouTube using the super duper thingy buttons, which I'd know what they were if I was any good at this, but I don't. So the super duper wingly buttons, or for people of my age, you can donate Green Shield stamps or postal orders, book tokens, we don't care. But your donations really do help, so please do if you would like to. You'll be able to see us, of course, on the Pro Synth Network at X or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube will be able to see all your comments and everything. They'll be coming through. And do feel free to comment away and give us your opinions on things, telling me just how pretty I am and saying what a brave little soldier I am for coming on. Yeah. If you've got any questions, like how do you get those fantastic good looks, then put a big Q, British, very big Q, before you ask it, and we'll pick it up, and hopefully someone will answer your questions if anyone's looking. In the meantime, we're going to have our moderators in the chat who will be taking care of things as they always do. I'm hoping, I can't see at the moment because I'm in the wrong screen, but I'm hoping the wonderful Mr. Brooks will be there, and Kent, help me out here. Who Synth Addict, and Musines, that's the one, who do a wonderful job of anticipating our every whim, making sure links that we haven't even shared with them end up on the chat so you can follow through anything we're talking about to see where we are and what we're about. And of course, if you want to get in touch, you can email us info@prosynthnetwork.com. And I think that's it. Now, you'll be surprised to know I'm not the only one here. I know no one will be more surprised than me, but we also have the delightful, the wonderful, the very smelly, and partially retired Ken Spong.
Yeah, fully retired now. Good night.
Yeah, you say that.
Yeah, well.
Are you?
Yes. No, it hasn't really worked out at all. So...
How's your week been?
Varied and tiresome. I tell you one thing I have been doing. This will interest anybody who has a Behringer System 55. Not only are they not correctly calibrated for tuning and playing, the waveforms have not been calibrated either. So we're
Wow.
talking rather pointy sine waves, saw waves that don't line up at the top, sort of like halfway down instead of actually at the top. Yeah. So square, not very square either.
Are you going to send it back?
No, I am calibrating the living crap out of it. And then when it's done, voila. It'll sound 10 times better than it does at the moment.
So when you say voila, do you mean it's going to be a sort of light purpley colour?
Yes. I think a hue, is probably... a hue rather than actual physical colour. So...
And do you think, talking of hues and a light purpley colour, we should introduce our other guest that no one will know is going to be on because we didn't cock up the beginning at all, did we?
No, not at all. Yeah, yes, the other purpley one.
The other purpley one. Hi, Hugh.
What?
Can't afford a microphone.
No, look.
Look at that big cumbersome thing he's got.
This was all going really well, and then my laptop just decided it just was going to keep crashing for no reason whatsoever, and I was on, and I had a proper mic. Look, here's the mic. Look, proper mic, and it
Hello,
just
Mike.
wouldn't. So
Hi, Mike.
I've just run up and grabbed the first laptop I found, and so sorry, no mic. But sod the lot of you, you're not worth it.
How's your week been apart from that? Apart from insulting everyone on the show, you bastards. How's your week been?
It's been good. Yeah, it has been good. Yeah, it's been a bit hectic, but it's been a productive week. And I bought another baby.
Another baby? What have you bought?
Hang on.
What? I'm rather loving what I'm seeing behind you, though.
Hang on.
His Behringer 55 is swollen up a bit, isn't it?
It has, yeah. Ooh.
Oh.
A Cascadia.
And can I point... Oh, and if anyone has got a Cascadia and is thinking about it, honestly, go for the optional metal sides. Because they really make it look very, very sexy. It's like, I think it's proper aluminium. It's gorgeous. But, oh, wow. I mean, honestly, it's really good. It's really good. Like,
Well, you
really
say
good.
it's really good, but I'm going to just bring everyone in now. There we go.
There you go.
There we go. So you've got the Cascadia. Before we get on to anything else, I believe there was a little something that I think you discovered, which you shared with Kent, and then I've now just found out and gone, "Urgh," because... Yeah, by the way, folks, Robbie isn't here because he hasn't got an M8X. That's all. That's why. You know, he hasn't got an M8X, and so we said, no, you can't be in. You can't be in the show this week.
Can't be in our club.
Yeah, you can't be in our club. This is the M8X.
And actually, it's now been renamed. It's not Pro Synth Network. It's the M8X Club.
Yeah.
The M8X Wankers is what it is.
Yeah.
But you discovered something rather alarming, which I've only just sort of found and gone, oh shit.
What?
The mods, the M8X mod wheel, the Surface.
No. Who? Not me.
That's what I. Kent.
What? No, I said I was talking to him about it.
About it. That's all.
See, you're not to blame, Hugh.
No,
And what? Where did Hugh come from?
What are you talking about?
What?
No wonder he's got no hair.
Staring at
Honestly.
Kent,
Yeah.
would you care to explain?
No, it's when I was
point
cleaning
out,
it.
Can I point out the only reason I came on was the fact that it was just going to be me and Kent. If I'd known you were going to be here, I would have said no.
Well, quite right. I wouldn't be on with me.
So,
I
I'm a
said no to
total
everybody.
yeah. Carry on, Kent, about whatever you're going to talk about. Yeah.
No, it was about the rubbery surface on it that was very akin to the stuff that goes all sticky. Isn't it?
But my argument was straight away, they're not stupid. No one's used that compound for years now because everyone realised it was a bad idea. Anyone that's had a kind of Roland synths from late 90s, early 2000s, or a host of remote controls, or anything by Roland or Eddie Roll, or the sticky rubbery stuff as it breaks down. They've stopped doing that. They're not going to do that now. They would be idiots to still be doing that compound. Nobody.
And I have to say, it does. The actual surface around where the mods are, it does feel good, and it does stop your fingers slipping skipping around all over it. So it's kind of a nice feel. I hope you're right. Is all I can say.
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about that. I think somebody, Mr. Spong, is just scaremongering.
Yes, that's what I do best.
Yeah,
Yes.
bugger.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, bugger.
Also, OBXAs actually strangle people. Somebody in the chat wants to know what the synth is on top of the Moog 55's top cab.
With me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seen it, hello, Moog System 55. It's a synth, apparently. There you go.
Looks like an MS-20-ish thing.
Looks like one's been run over.
It's an MS-20M.
Did you ever see the blackball models of those, the really big ones?
I've seen them, yeah. I touched one once. Yeah.
Yeah, I've repaired one of them.
Have you?
Yeah.
Was it a good thing?
Well, I had to get a bicycle to get to the other side of it. It's fucking enormous.
One of those travelators to get from one end to the
I had to use binoculars to be able to see the oscilloscope. Should have brought it with me.
Should have bought it with me.
Yeah.
So, I suppose, we're a quarter of an hour into the show. We could discuss one of the very few topics we have, couldn't we?
We've got a few.
We have. I put a few more in.
Yeah, there you go.
And I stuck that one in.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the one I told you about.
Yeah.
Just as we're about to come on air.
it's not on the list, but we will have it here because I did bring it up.
On the list.
I've got it
It's
here.
not on the list.
Oh, I see. We're going off the list now, are we?
Yeah, of
Folks,
course.
this could get rough. Just
Yeah.
buckle
on my
in,
list.
buckle up, buckle in.
I haven't
Oh.
Right then. Should we get into that straight away? Because that does look like a rather good thing. Can we play the video without getting a strike?
I have no
I
idea,
love the way
so
you're
I didn't add
asking
it.
me.
I didn't add it.
Well, shall I pull it up?
Go on.
Yeah.
Hang about a moment. So, I don't want to... Yeah, there we go. So, this is a little something
God, this
that
is
was
slick.
brought to my attention by the inestimable Ty Unwin. So, Ty, tell us about this small, wee, wonderful thing. Or shall I just play the vid?
Just play a bit of the vid, and then I'll just
Okay,
wax
well,
lyrical.
here we go. This is Life by XLN Audio. And we'll see
a
where we
DJ.
get to.
Capturing moments anywhere, anytime, and having them automagically transformed into rhythm. Introducing Life by XLN Audio. Step away from overused loops and sample packs and generate infinite beats with the unique sounds from your life. Capture moments anywhere, anytime with Life's Field Recorder app, or import your favorite moments from your camera roll. Drag and drop audio or video straight onto Life, or capture anything in your DAW with Life's DAW Recorder. Meet your new Happy Accidents machine. Every generated beat is endlessly tweakable with Life's AI-powered variation controls.
So I think that's probably enough of...
Yeah,
of
I have to say, as promos go, it doesn't sell it. It absolutely doesn't sell it. So forget you've just watched that for the last minute. The thing is, this is something that I've been doing kind of for years, but literally by hand, and it takes forever. And And all it really is doing is taking everyday sounds, and it basically finds transients and it chops them up, and it basically does randomization of them, but it then separates it into lanes to create these kind of random rhythms. And it's the randomization side of things. It just triggers. It's great for triggering ideas. And so basically, you put the audio in, and it finds transients. You press randomize. It'll do a rhythm. They basically. A nice little trick is basically you get a 4 on the floor kick. You can just turn that off. That isn't part of the loop, but it does it so you get a sense of perspective of where the beat is.
You get a reference point.
A reference point, and then it creates these random beats, and you can fine tune it. As I said, it separates into 4 lanes. You can fine tune it. You can vary it. You can do alter settings. It's got filters. It's got effects. It's got all of this kind of thing. But all you really do is just keep pressing the randomization button. And for every 3 or 4 where you're going, yeah, that's all right, that's okay, it'll come up with something that you would never have thought of trying or doing in a million years. And it's just fantastic. I've tried it with loads of just random sounds. I've tried it with lots of pitch sounds. I've tried it with other loops and seen what it does. But the great thing about it is the way it integrates with your phone or iPad. So basically, you download an app onto your phone, and that then links in with the VST. And so you just record whatever you like on the phone or your iPad, and it sends it up to the cloud, and that ties in with the DAW, so it then automatically is available for you on your DAW via the cloud. Which means, and then you put it in. So you can literally I sat there for a couple of hours just putting random sounds into my phone, just recording random noise. But it's kind of instant. It goes up to the cloud, comes back down the cloud, and it's in your DAW. And it's just, it takes a lot for me to get excited by software, because it's just, there's so much software out there but this is it's just so creative, the way it triggers ideas. And it's a bit like I explained when I talked to Kent about it. Anyone that knows, Jean-Michel Jarre on Ethnicolor 1 and Zuluk and what's the other one on Zuluk? All that kind of where you've got the random vocals doing all the rhythmic sections. It's basically that on acid. It's basically automatically, the kind of the gating effects that Underworld use so much. It's all of that. It's basically chopped up bits of audio, forming these really fantastic rhythmic beats. And all it is it's just a great thing to just start ideas off. Kind of taking down routes that you wouldn't naturally go down, and anything that just kind of triggers ideas like that. It's brilliant. And the way it integrates is so slick. It's almost as slick as this show.
Kent, talking of slick, as weasel shit, here we go. Have you had a chance to have a look at this?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't had a chance yet. It is in my wish list, and I will be getting that down pretty damn soon, I would think. Just have a mess around, if nothing else.
So here's the thing. I've been, I literally saw this in the 2 or 3 minutes before the show. You sort of told me about it, and I went and had a quick look, Ty. And a bit like yourself, I'll just bring us all up because we're all going to be here. So a bit like yourself, I used to, I was from the time when I was walking around with a Sony Walkman Professional, recording stuff, the seashore, the sound of waves, bark on the tree when you point it or run something down it, and just walking on gravel, all sorts of things, anything. I'd record anything, smacking the side of skips with a sledgehammer or whatever, all sorts of weird things. And then those are then our samples, and some of them you wouldn't think of them as being samples, but I love being able to dump into the middle of something like a gravel crunch and then put that into a track. But it was laborious. I ended up with a massive sample library which I could then pull in, but it was kind of laborious trying to work out what would work and what wouldn't. So this is kind of like that Walkman for me, but it's just taken the whole integration through. I have to say I do like the look of it, but it's the intro offer says it's €109. That's quite a lot, but it's an integrated thing. So what do you think about the price?
I think the price is actually not bad. I know that's, it's easy to say, but it's not bad at all for what it does. Anything that triggers ideas that you wouldn't naturally think of, but in a creative way that you then have control of, is that's.
Have you any idea of how you curate the libraries of sounds you are building up? Do they end up in different folders? How does that work?
Yeah, and so basically, you always have a reference point to the source material, because they go into your kind of folder. But then what happens is, as you come up with your random ideas, and when you come across one you like, essentially you save that into another slot, and so you come up with a range of slots that you can then trigger individually, and anything is then draggable straight into the door. So you can just drag it, when you find one you really like, you can either just drag individual slices, or you can drag the entire sequence into your door, or each lane can go into your door. It's one of those things. I think they're gonna struggle only to try and explain and justify. Does that make sense? It's one of those things that you sit down with it for 5 minutes and you suddenly go, oh my god, this is just taking me down a route that I know years ago I would have spent hours programming it, and now it's literally a random button and it just comes up with it. You could turn around and go, okay, well, that takes away the creativity, but this is just the starting point. Remember, this isn't the whole track.
And it's making you're still selecting which one works and which bits do or don't work.
Absolutely, and you then can change, and you can then edit it with normal synthesis after the event to fine tune it. So it's hard to explain, but it's I just love it.
Well, it's a free trial anyway, isn't it? So people can have a crack and see whether it's for them or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just going to see if I can pop this up on the chat. I don't know if someone has already. I'm sure our wonderful... There we go, done. I'm sure our wonderful admins have done that. There we go, bang. It's up in the chat. So you can have a look at that and make of it what you want. I mean, I suppose the thing is, anything which stimulates little grey cells into going, oh, hang on, there's something there, and it starts the creative process or has an input to the creative process, gives you a different slant, is a great thing.
I think the thing is, just remember, this doesn't have to be I don't do loops. I mean, I've said this before, loops, and I just don't, I don't do loops. You don't have to treat it in the same way as a loop. It doesn't have to be percussive sounds.
Which is curious, because you are quite loopy.
Yeah.
And percussive.
Yeah.
And a twat. Yeah. I was doing it with pitch stuff. And so basically I was just putting in random vocal pitch noises and then all random piano notes, essentially. Audio just recorded on your phone. But what it then does, it kind of denoises the sample to kind of make them kind of cleaner. And then it's creating these kind of more tonal stuff, but kind of tonal stuff looping that then develops, because it doesn't have to be a 4-bar loop. If you want, you can stretch it out. And I honestly, just go and try it. As Kent said, it's a free.
So you've bought this already?
Trial.
Yeah. I bought it a couple of days ago because I saw someone demoing it and thought, oh, okay, I can make use of this. But I literally tried it because I've been busy. I tried it about an hour before the show and just called Kent to try and go, oh, we've got to talk about this. This is just, it's fantastic.
So Kent's to blame. Kent, you're to blame.
Yes.
Okay. So you are going to buy this?
Yeah.
Yet another thing.
I'm gonna try farting in it and see what it does, because it's traditionally it's what it do. It's what it did when we got a sampler. So I'm gonna try it with this. Has
Never
to be done.
buy a second-hand sampler from.
Can I point out? Am I the only person in the world that never farted into my sampler? The first sampler that I ever bought. Never.
Yes.
Never belched. Never farted.
Really?
Never did.
You've missed a whole creative. I mean,
I was doing things like sampling flutes and trumpets and
not a fart or a belch.
So what is it that
far,
corrupted
no
you in
belch.
the end then? If it wasn't the
Eating
sampler.
meat bits. Yeah. Never done it. I feel like I've, you know.
You could use a Genos 2 on it, make it bleeding useful then, wouldn't it? I had to get that in.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one that's I've not taken part in any of this Genos stuff, and I'm tempted to sit here and go, do you know what? I really like it. I really think the Genos stuff looks great.
So
Oh,
you
you lying person.
A range of keyboards. I love them. They're great.
Yeah. At £5,000, more expensive than this,
Don't
with an
even-
older engine.
Don't even. I know all
Oh,
the
no, let's-
details.
no,
I know-
rabbit
I
hole,
know all the
rabbit
details.
hole.
Don't start me off.
No,
But lots of people love them, and
Yeah,
that's
whatever.
as
Yeah,
long
move
as it
on.
makes
That's
them
fine.
happy.
Yeah,
that's
move-
fine. Yeah.
whatever.
So we've navigated a topic
Yay! Next.
with only
the hell?
once mentioning the so the Geno.
Oh,
So
I got me quip.
yeah, you've got your, where did that come from?
I don't know. I woke up with that this morning. Just
Were you in
when-
something about Mary?
No,
Okay.
no. I just supplied the genetic material.
Okay.
I went into the bathroom this morning and just looked in the glass and went, "Oh, thank you very much." And there it was, you know. And,
There it was.
yeah,
Mind you.
yeah. I can't
Anyway.
see Ty. Ty, where's yours? Still in the drawer.
There's no need.
Oh,
No
come on.
need at all.
It's for the sake of balance. You know.
Come on, next topic.
Next
Next
topic.
Next topic. So where shall we go next? Shall we go to... Let's go to a freebie, shall we? Do you think we should?
Well,
Let's-
yeah, I want to discuss this freebie routine. Carry on.
Okay. Well, in
Okay.
which case, what I'm going to do is find the bugger up here. I know I've got it here somewhere. Where are we? Shall we... I think we should probably... Yes. Okay. I'm just going to
come
bring
back,
it
Robbie.
up. You could have got a professional in, but you got me instead. Right, share screen. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So, let's have a look at this.
When?
I guess it would work enormously better if I were to add it to the stage and then go full screen. Here we go.
Disco DSP's OBXD, the greatest free analog synthesizer plugin of all time, has just been updated with tons of new features. Here's what's new in version 3.0. Just a reminder that OBXD is completely free, courtesy of Disco DSP. If you appreciate their hard work in recreating the iconic Oberheim OBX synthesizer from 1979 in software form, there is an optional donation button. So consider throwing some dollar bills their way, y'all. Starting with the default.
So, that's that. Let's just remove it. So, there's been an awful lot of OB plugins and OB sound-alikes and OB keyboards and OB desktops. There are plenty of paid-for OBs and blah, 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 blah. What you wanted to talk about this? What's special about this, young Ty?
I don't want to talk about this. The only reason I wanted to talk about this was the fact that I want to question the free bit, because I'm missing something here. I'm absolutely missing something, because I went and looked at it, and okay, let's get the good stuff out. I mean, I knew this software. I know it existed, but I've never downloaded, because I've got real OBs and I've got lots of software OBs and blah blah blah. So therefore, I don't own it, but I knew it existed. When Robbie sent through the links, because you know Robbie's quite organised, and actually there is some organisation going on in this show, believe it or not. I went and looked at the updates, and the updates look great. What they've done with the you know, kind of the resonance, now being able to self-oscillate is great. The MIDI implementation is great. All the ways they've improved it sound absolutely great. The sound of it is good. how authentic it is whatever, but it's good. But the main thing is, through all of this, you have to keep turning around and going, but for free, it's fantastic. It's, it's free. You can't argue. It's free. See the green thing there when it says buy now? You have to buy it. It's 39 quid. And it's 39 quid, which is fine. And it's great. But I'm being stupid here. But I could not find a way of not buying it. They say that you can donate, but essentially you have to buy it.
I've just downloaded it. So
okay, well, how did you get it then? Because I've missed that completely.
If you look on this where I'm underlining, that's Windows, that's Mac, that's Linux, and that's a PDF. If you click on the Windows version, it downloads a copy of it for you, which you can unzip, and away you go.
Okay, that's great then. Wonderful. In which case, I'm completely wrong, and I couldn't see. Although, is there a difference? Is it that if you buy it, it has oversampling, and if you don't buy it, it's not oversampling? I think.
No, I think that's the support side of it.
Is it? No, I think there's something to do with oversampling as well. Apparently.
Oh, okay.
It includes the fully functional standalone app, audio unit, and VST plugins. The free version, that is.
Yeah.
The registered version includes both 2 and 3 commercial rights, whatever that means. So the version 2 and the version 3. So it sounds like this is the original version they're giving away for nothing. And if you want to use the other versions and use it in a commercial project, then you have to buy it.
Yeah, and I also know that if you use it, if you make money from it, then quite rightly you have to pay for it. All of that I have no problem with. I could just not find an obvious way of downloading it for free, and all I kept seeing was it's free, and I completely missed that because all I kept seeing was the buy now button, no matter where I went and what I did. So I'm completely wrong on that. I stand corrected. In which
you were
case,
confused by the word download.
No, it's look at the page. Go look.
Yeah, I know.
Look,
I know.
Now look.
No, see where it says download.
Download.
No, to be fair, if that said download for free here by clicking on one of the icons, and then the buy now with the little shopping basket, it would be a lot clearer.
Yeah, but whatever it was, I'm just going to turn around and go, if it's free, it's great. I mean, it's I have to say, for me personally, I know the new GeForce one better, and that sounds better to me. But at the same time, that's like 100 quid, and this is free. So you cannot argue for free. It's great.
Ken, have you had a look at it?
No.
Oh. We're really lucking out with this, Ken. So,
no, it's an OBX. I've had enough pain from OBXs. Thank you.
Just once or twice, you've had a teensy bit of trouble with OBX.
The last thing is I want one on my computer. Thank you.
So, and it's funny because people either are OB fans, Oberheim fans, or they're not, because they've got a particular sound, don't they? They do have a very particular sound. I used to love them back in the 80s when I was, in studios. I used to love them because they gave a sound that everyone was using, but they actually gave a sound that I quite liked, especially strings and God knows what else. But they didn't ever have that sort of bite that I was looking for.
Well, the X probably did. The
That's
XA and the OB8s were getting progressively thinner.
Yeah, and I could never understand with them why, as the new models came out, they were sounding less and less punchy. But there we go. But it's free. It's a really good thing. It's free. If you like it, donate, or you can upgrade. If you decide to use it in a commercial project, then pay. But anyone that provides something, something like this for free, if you don't have an OBX in your collection and you don't have a lot of Spongs, cup of coffee, just go and get it, download it, try it out, and if it works for you, then donate something to them. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Completely.
It's a really good thing. Just out of interest, Ty, have you actually tried it?
No, sorry, no. I wasn't going to buy it, and we've already been there. No, I listened to a lot of demos of it. That's why I can only comment on the demos. For me, it doesn't sound as good as the GeForce one, and I've got an OBX8 and an OB8 and two voice, and I know they all sound different, but the GeForce OBX it sounds a lot more like I know the OB sound to be. This just sounds like it's a great version of it, but I don't know, it's not factually accurate. But at the end of the day, it's free, so it doesn't matter if it sounds
it all winds back to that point, doesn't it?
Exactly. It doesn't matter if it's identical at all. Does it sound like a good synth? Yes, it does. And from that point of view, it's it's brilliant. Anything that's free and can get people on board is fantastic. So.
Well, whilst we're on free, just because we're on free plugins, so we seem to be doing a lot of plugin stuff this week. How about, I don't know if we can, I think we can play this. I believe we can. Let me have a look. I'm just going to bring up a video. Bear with me. So that's there. And I'll actually try to remember to bring it up and share it on screen. Yeah, I know. Bless me. Let's add to the stage and go full screen. Here we go. So let's... And there we go. That is the VST. That's the Vast Dynamics Vaporizer 2, which they're now banging out there for nothing, for zilch, for freebie, for bugger all. It used to be a paid-for thing. Now they've made it available as a brand new free release. Has anyone had any experience of this at all?
I had a mild experience. I downloaded it and Cubase couldn't find the plugin. So.
At all?
Not at all.
Huh.
So, but I don't know whether that's the instrument or whether it's Cubase or whether it's the PC or me or the room or where I live. I don't know. I give up. But he couldn't find it.
Well, that's so. Let me just bring it up on the screeny weeny poos.
Have you tried it, Andrew?
I had a very brief try of it this afternoon, the tiniest wee try, because I was right in the middle of stuff. Do you know what? It's very good. I quite like anything that's got a comb filter on it. I rather adore. I love that comb filter.
You're not saying anything.
I'll tell you what it sounds like to me, and this is, I think you should just tell everyone that this wasn't on the list, so I have no idea of this. I've never heard of it.
It wasn't on the list, everyone.
No, I've literally just heard that for the first time now, like everybody else, and it just sounds like a very average VST from 10, 15 years ago. Am I wrong?
From what I've heard, no, but the sounds it does have are rather lovely. You're right, they are from 10, 15 years ago. I quite like the way it works. It's very almost tactile, if that can be used of a...
I get that, but if it just... I've literally
free.
just no. Okay, yes, you're right. It's free. It's fantastic. It's brilliant.
It's turning out to be a very cheap show, isn't it?
Yeah,
It really is. Well, we're
great.
getting close to Christmas. Everyone's
No,
got to save their pennies up to donate.
It's just all I'm trying to say is literally having heard those MP3s. It sounds like a generation ago of instruments, and the interface doesn't look that welcoming.
No, I didn't like the look of that. I must admit.
And being free, realistically, that's fantastic. That's really great. But I can understand why it's free, because charging for something, I don't know. Look, I can't really comment. I've literally seen it for, 20 seconds. So I'll just say it's great because it's free.
I wonder if it got any Kurzweil owners excited.
Not thinking it's a software vase system.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there's something with a lovely sound about it, the Kurzweils.
Can I also just turn around and go exactly like Steve's just said about it used to be free, it used to be paid for, it's free. That's fine. The kind of problem I kind of have with that is think of the people that over the years have bought it and updated it, and it's always annoying then when you've bought into something and then they suddenly turn around and
The
go,
thing
"It's
about
free."
that, though, is that if you buy it and you use it and you create stuff with it, maybe for money, maybe not, if you've had the use of it, then at the kinds of prices for these things, if you have it for 3 months or 6 months and you've used it, you should not, don't worry about it. You've got the value out of it.
Yeah, but I'm more this kind of stuff. I'm going to put my neck out there and say the kind of people that really genuinely earn money out of it aren't going to be buying things. If they're going to be earning money, this isn't the kind of synth I would imagine they're going to be using. This is more for people who have kind of great enthusiastic players and people who want to kind of. This isn't for me. It doesn't seem like the kind of synth that's going to be used by people who make money out of it. And if they paid, I don't even know how much it was originally, but if they paid money for it, okay.
I mean, I have to say,
Was that the verbal equivalent of running into a maze?
It was exactly with me just kind of go.
Now where do I go with this?
Yeah, exactly. I'll just shut up. I've shut up.
I have to say, it reminded
I'm muting
me.
myself. I'm muting myself. I've muted.
It reminded me a little of some of the early Rob Pappen stuff. The thing is, he went on to carry on developing his, and he still does. And I adore Rob Pappen and his instruments, and I still use them fairly often. They're really good. Sometimes, if I don't know quite where to go, I just open up one of his things. A bit like the thing we were looking at earlier, the sampley thing, Life. Sometimes you can just play around with one of his things, dribble through some presets, find something, and just goes, oh, hang on a minute, and away you go. You can just, Rob's really good at coming up with stuff that can just trigger a thought process. So as a creative thing, it's good. This looks like one of the earlier ones of his that hasn't been that much updated, but it's free. It's free.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. Ken, do you want to pick the next bit? Where shall we go?
I'm trying to remember myself now. The Moog?
Yeah, we could do that.
Let's look at the Moog.
Shall we just look at it first, or shall we put the video on?
Well, put the video on and then you can look at it after.
Okay, well that's what we'll do. I just need to be ready, really. So if I bring it up, because I don't have it in.
Me and Ty will have an argument about something while you set it up.
Fair enough, that's what we'll do.
What do you fancy an argument about?
I don't know, pick something.
What about
Andrew?
Yeah, he's a fucker. He's wouldn't give him floor space. Let's have a look at this to save, just for the sake of harmony. Let's watch this.
Bass was there in the beginning. It lives in nature, in speech, in song, in the hands of the musician, bass becomes an extension of self. It embodies the rhythm's heartbeat through smoky clubs, grounding shrieks of horns, and vocalists' howls. It erupts with thunderous strength, growling reverberations through arenas and stadiums. It casts hypnotic, syncopated grooves, creating a magnetic force
What a load of
that
crap.
summons the spirit of dance.
Is there anything here about the movie?
Oh, don't even go there.
Foundation of beats,
I mean, stop it now, because it shows you
reverberating
nothing.
through
It tells you
inspiring
nothing.
musicians.
I'm just
Honestly,
rushing
We
through
evolved
to see
the
if it
voyage
actually
into sonic
mentions it at
territory
all.
with accessible
Honestly.
technology made for any.
Okay, this is literally this is literally the absolute antithesis of a good promo. This is exactly how you don't do it. Who gives a flying whatever the fact that I'm going to talk to you about the history of bass, and in the background you're going to honestly just drives me mad. I got about 20 seconds into that and just stopped it, skipped through exactly like you did, found there's nothing of any interest on there, just show someone playing it, explain what it does, and off. Because anyway, other than that, the product's really good. I think it's
I appear to have soiled.
oh, stop it!
I must now
It's
go
rubbish,
and change
honestly.
my trousers.
But just, I think I have to turn around and go. Well, first of all, I've just seen a couple of people in the chat going, "Is there anything on here that's not going to be software synth?" And I have to turn around and admit I'm thinking exactly the same, because what we've got coming up next is a software synth as well, and I'm bored of software synths. But on this occasion, I saw this. When I actually saw this, I looked at this and thought, "Oh, there's a piece of hardware." And for the first couple of days, when I was looking at the promo shots, I didn't look at it that much. I just saw it as I thought, oh, they're releasing a new, piece of hardware. And when I actually found out it's a piece of software, I was just really disappointed, really. And I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's brilliant. The Moog software is good. It sounds vaguely like a Moog. Don't get won over by the fact that you suddenly believe you've got a Moog in the studio, because it's not. But it sounds Moog-ish, and it's a piece of software, and it just does bass. I'm sure it can do lots of other stuff, but I have to turn around and just say it's a bit boring, if I'm honest.
So, yeah.
I think it's probably good. I think it's okay, but joking aside, I think there needs, with software synths these days, you need to come up with something that's a bit different, or either incredibly authentic, or just a bit, and this for me kind of falls, personally, this absolutely falls smack bang in the middle of, it's not particularly authentic, it's not particularly different or special, or there's nothing about it that makes me want to rush out and get it, even for whatever it is, 50 quid or something. But it's just a bit boring.
And is
really.
this what we can expect now from Moog? A lot
I
more
hope
of
not.
this kind of thing, because
I hope not.
we know they've been bought, and they're going to be making hay now, aren't they? Trying to put out as much of this kind of stuff as they can, because why wouldn't you? You've got the name, make use of it. Have you listened to it or played with it at all, Ken?
No.
Would
See,
you?
the thing,
Go on. Here we go.
look, the thing about bass synths is, it's the go, yeah, we've developed a bass synth. Essentially, what they've done is taken 8, 4, and 2 foot off the front panel. It's all right. What is it? Dual. It's a dual layer thing, isn't it? You can run 2 sounds at the same time and all that sort of thing. And if it's a punchy bass synth, fine. But it seems to be niche, pointlessly.
And I think the reality is this would have been developed before the takeover. I don't think this is something they've suddenly knocked out in the last couple of months. This is something that was ongoing, and it's just a continuation of where they were software wise. And I'm sure this has been in development for a good few months, if not a year. And I'm sure it's great. But it's just.
Thing is,
my argument is very simple. Does the world need it?
And that's kind of where I was going with this as well, which is that, for me, the there are so many other plugins which kind of cover this territory. So if you're going soft, you can go, the Cherry Audio has got the Minotaur, which is just an amazing piece of software if that's what you want. If you want to get the bass end of something, that's kind of where you go. And there's so many others. I'm not quite sure what the point of this one is, really.
It's got Moog written on it. Simple as that, really.
Well,
yeah, but if you think about it, I don't know. I'm being totally cynical, but totally honest and upfront here. Is that what are Moogs, generally speaking? If you turn around and say, what do mini Moogs do and do better than most things? Mini Moogs, we've got to emphasise the name Moog here. Is that mini Moogs are used for bass? It's what they're known for. It's what I've used them for. It's what loads of people use mini Moogs for. It's leads or bass, and they're well known for doing bass. And so, because of the Taurus, kind of everyone's continuing on that, and so we've now got Moog in the equation. So therefore, let's do something that's great at bass. And people come new into this that don't have a huge amount of synths. They're going to be thinking, "Oh, this is great because it's got Moog written on it, and they're great at bass." And do you know what I mean? It's for youngsters coming in. I mean, when I was growing up, that's exactly where I was at. Moogs do bass, and this is just 30 years later, this is just a continuation of that. People are going to be coming in going, Moogs are known for bass. This is a software, whatever it is. It's only, how much is it for iOS? It's hardly anything for
That's
for
the
iOS.
thing. So have a guess. How much it's? I mean, it's on a special offer at the moment. So how much do you think it is?
Oh, well, I think I know. Is it like 49 quid? I think it is, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is.
I love the way
desktop.
everyone's turning around and telling me it's Moog. Oh, for God's sake! Here we go again. It's Moog.
Do you know what?
I
I've
know
always
you,
said
you
Moog.
call it.
I've always said Moog.
I've always said Moog. You can call it Moog as much as you like. We
Food,
live in the
Moog,
UK.
boob,
I've been
Moog.
brought up since I was this high that it's Moog. I know it's meant to be Moog. I'm not going to change now. It's Moog. Moving on.
Kent.
What now?
So, I mean, it's $14.99 for iOS if you buy it for that, or it's 49 quid for, the Mac or PC standalone or whatever, VST version. Thoughts? Have you had a look at it at all? Would you be tempted by it ever?
No, I have a mini Moog. 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 I have a mini Moog.
So, I'll tell you what, whilst we're talking, because we haven't talked about hardware yet, Kent, I'm going to pass over to you now. So, talking of Moogs, so software Moog, no one seems to be that impressed by this, and we're not getting a huge amount of support for it in the chat. You've got a Moog clone, don't you?
I do.
What have you been doing to that this week? What have you had to do to it?
Correcting it.
Doing what?
Well, making waveforms the right shape and making it plain tune. These are apparently optional extras. I didn't know that at the time when I bought it. So
you loved. I mean, when you first got it, it was a great unboxing. I've never seen as many cables as that in my life, and I'm still aching from laughing from that. My side still hurt.
Yeah, I know.
From the unboxing and 50 million cables later. But since then, you've discovered pretty much everything that needs to be calibrated. Everything.
Yeah, everything, yeah.
So, what's going to happen for someone that buys one of these that's not a you?
They're going to go, it really doesn't sound right, and continue using it, but just don't go more than 2 octaves on the bottom of the keyboard and you'll be fine. Essentially.
And how much did it cost?
I think it was 1,500 English pounds.
For something which, by your experience, isn't calibrated, and because you're now retired, no one can actually bring it to you and say, Kent.
Well, if I put out a memory Moog that was calibrated like this, I would be killed in the streets. Essentially.
I mean, everyone knows my views on this crap, but could it be that this is a one-off, this is just a faulty unit?
I don't know. I couldn't honestly say. However, this wouldn't be the first Behringer I've had to calibrate for somebody who just bought one.
It's just, it seems to me like, as much as I, detest certain elements, I can't honestly believe that they would put this out.
Well,
If it
put
really
it, put
is,
it in,
if
no,
it
I tell you
really
what,
is that bad, I don't know. I struggle with that. I really do.
Well,
Because I think it must just be a dodgy one.
here's the thing, right? There's lots of travel on the trimmers, right? And when you take any module, if I take one of the piggyback oscillators, for instance, and you play it, set it to C, and it's not quite accurate on the front panel, but set it to C. When you press the top C, it's almost a C. And if you look at the amount of travel that's on the trimmer, it is clearly being calibrated because it's very close to it. It's just not on it. All the waveforms are almost right, but not right. So it's
So
been
you've
calibrated.
you've looked at them on an oscilloscope, yeah?
Yeah, I looked on the oscilloscope. I put the Peterson through it, and it's this annoying amount out. It's that sort of like, oh, It's that just flat enough. 4-year-olds recorder practice. It's that flat, that kind of flat where you go, oh, Jesus, that's going to leave a mark.
So having been inside of it, Ken, and doing this fettling
I deny
you're
it.
having to do,
Yeah.
having been inside, once you've got it sorted, as it were,
Yeah.
looking at the circuitry, do you think it will then remain stable for a period of time? Do you think it's going to degrade?
Oh yeah, no, it'd be
What's your-
fine. No, it'd be fine. This type of technology, it's you'd have to be really, really, really dumb to be able to build this badly. It's that kind of this kind of electronics is very, very stable. But it
So
just
this
has
is
to be
just
set
a
up
cute-
right.
This is just the setting up thing, which someone at some
Yeah.
point hasn't done.
Yeah.
I'd love to know if other people have experienced this. I really would. Because I know you were saying in one of the other shows that you've had the occasional Behringer come through, and every time you've had to do a bunch of setup and tweaking and whatever. It seems odd to, listen, I know it's a cheap
It might be
version.
it might be a batch thing. Like they needed to get it shipped out. Like, sod it, that's close enough. Just get it boxed up and out and gone.
I can see Ty's looking at it over your shoulder and going, "Oh no, I could swap it for that great big thing there. I could do that." I can see he's thinking it. Look at him thinking it. He's thinking it.
Are you delusional?
Yeah.
They
on
come
the
out.
show,
They
what
come
comes
out of the
out?
factory calibrated.
So there's
No fun at all.
I've got a skip outside. That's where it. I wouldn't even tell the delivery driver to bring it in.
So listen, I'm going to go off piece a little now because we've been talking about, and people you have said and others have said, is there any hardware? And we've just talked about a piece of hardware. The one piece of hardware we all have in common is this little beastie, this lovely little thing.
But are people not sick of hearing about how wonderful it is?
Well, they
I'm
may
being-
or may not be. They
I'm
may
being
or may
perfectly-
not
I'm being
be.
I'm being perfectly serious here because it is great. It is wonderful. It's not perfect, but it is a great piece of kit. But have we not covered it? Well, have you not? I mean, I haven't covered it. Have we
Well,
not covered it
so
well?
I was just going to say, I've actually spent some time this last week or so. I've actually managed to spend 2 or 3 hours, just diving into. I just decided it was impenetrable to start off with. I'm looking at going, well, how do I get to this and that and there? Because I've never owned a Montage before in my life. And so I kind of finally bit the bullet and started diving into the init patches and playing around with stuff. And I've just been focusing for the moment on the ANX engine. And despite the fact it can be a bit of a pain moving around sometimes, now I'm getting used to it. It's a bit of a monster.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm loving the ANX. I've got this bass sound. No effects on it, no chorus. It's just it's 3 oscillators.
Well, it's funny you just say that because I've got an AM1X, which I know is not the same because the AX, kind of engine goes further than the AM1X. But the first thing that I do with the AM1X is there's basically an option to just bypass effects, and that I can't remember the last time that I had the effects not bypassed on my AM1X. The AM1X is absolutely fantastic, but just bypass the effects, and I think the AX, I think the engine, I have to say they've smoothed it out a bit. It's not quite the same as the AM1X, and whether that's the converters or what, I don't know. But it's not quite as they've smoothed out the AM1X.
The A to D on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, the D to A on it is the whole analog side of it is gorgeous. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, but kind of anyone that's thinking they're going to get an AM1X in the Montage, it's not quite. It goes further, but it doesn't quite sound the same. I have to say, from the analog, if I was going to compare the two, if I had to give a preference, it would be the AM1X. But the AX engine is phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's really good. I think if you've never used a Montage, when you first come to it, you're just going to look at it and go, "Hang on a second, where's just the edit button?" And there is an edit button that takes you nowhere where you expect it to go. So it does take some getting into, but it is a beautiful machine. But I was only playing devil's advocate, only the fact that I just think it's had so much coverage over the last few weeks, and I mean, apart from, you were quite right about the travel on the rebound on the keyboard, which isn't amazing. It's probably, for me, it's one of the only real weak points on it. But you just don't play Chopin on it.
No, you don't play Chopin on it.
But what you benefit from it is so amazing.
The thing is, what I've discovered is that the ANX engine is a really good emulator. It's a really good reconstruction of analog circuitry. I'm just wondering how long before they decide to bring this out as a 16-note standalone synth, just an ANX synth, polysynth, because it's good enough to put it out there as an instrument by itself. And I reckon they could probably stick it out there for under $2. Certainly under $2, maybe even 1,500 or 12 years, something like that. It would be a good thing.
Yeah, it would. But the kind of the problem they've got there is that analog modelling. I'm not saying it's had its day, but kind of people still perceive analog modelling as a lesser genuine analog. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I do.
Nord struggle now in terms of their analog model, even though it sounds fantastic. You look at people, kind of the System 8. The System 8 is a fantastic synth, and yet was always looked on over. Oh, it's not real analog. And whereas you get something like a Polybrute, and everyone knows my views on the Polybrute and the Polybrute, but that's analog, so therefore people would go, well, I'd rather have a Polybrute than a System 8 or a Jupiter X or whatever. So Yamaha, if they're going to try, and you're probably about right, it'd be less than 2, it'd be something like 1899, but they'd have to come out with this engine, this synth, basically turning around and going, okay, we're going back to analog modelling. And although anyone in the know will turn around and go, it doesn't matter whether it's real analog or modelled analog or whatever, it sounds great, as long as everyone in the know knows that. But for a lot of people, they would just sit there within the market turning around and going, well, it's not real analog, so therefore I'll go and buy real analog instead.
How much? But here's the thing: how much do you think that matters now? I mean, and I know it has become a thing.
It doesn't matter in the slightest.
In terms of people's perception.
No. But it does matter. It does matter. Still, a load of people will absolutely put real analog, genuine analog, above modelling, which is total bull.
I had a really long conversation earlier this week with someone who knows I've got a Novation Supernova 2, fully loaded, the Pro X, and it's clearly it's modelling, it's analog synth modelling. That's what it is, and it was one of the first generation of that. Even now, I freaking love the sound of that. It's a brilliant thing. I love it. I know it's not analog, but I don't care. The sounds that are coming out of it.
But this is what I'm saying. People in the know, and they don't care. I mean, I don't. I mean, I've said time and time again, if I really was bothered about that, I've got some absolutely beautiful analog stuff, and my AM1X should have bit the dust years ago, but it's still a fantastic synth. I'm on about if you're a manufacturer and you're putting a lot of money into putting out a synth of that kind of level, it is still the fact that people that don't really know will go and put real analog above modelling, and this is why the System 8, well, one of the reasons why the System 8 wasn't as successful as it was, because at that time all the manufacturers are coming out with real analog, and everyone was buying that instead of a System 8, and yet a System 8 is a fantastic sounding synth. But I don't know, it's just, I'd love to think you're right, I'd love to think that they're going to do something like that, but I don't.
Ken, can you see that happening? Because when we were talking about, we've been talking about this for a year, this beastie coming out and saying, if only it did the CS80 thing. Well, it kind of has, right? It kind of has. And we just wanted them to bring out CS80, and if there was additional stuff on it, we'd have gone, yeah, hurrah. Guess what? They bought it out. So do you think there's room for this, an analog modelling synth 16 voice of this kind of complexity and level out there in the market, or do you think that's a ship that's now sailed?
Yeah, it's quite possible. I mean, the problem is now, if you're going to take develop a technology and then break it down to little bits and sell it as other keyboards, which Yamaha have been doing it for years anyway. But I don't know. As long as the price is right, I suppose you can. But I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. The market's really weird at the moment anyway.
I think that's the thing. I really do think that's the thing. The market is really weird at the moment. I mean, I know people in the retail.
Thank you, Manny.
Yeah, Genos 3.
And the manufacturing side of things, and it's a weird place at the moment. And I think anyone that brings out something which is moving away from that's going slightly off the wall is really risking a lot, because you could lose a really
but that's the only
lot.
way you actually gain. You have to take a chance and hope that yours is the one that everyone goes wow to, like the Wave 3 for instance, and that little beauty just below it over there. Is that the
me? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, they're great, but again, let's just look at those. Both of those synths are absolutely fantastic. One totally digital, and one basically, virtual analog, essentially, to all intents and purposes. Both of them sound fantastic. Both of them bought by people who don't give a flying whatever about what's real, what's not real. It makes no difference whether anything's digital or analog or virtual or physical modelling or anything. It's just basically, does it sound good? And that's literally.
Yeah.
But that's how it should always have been. And
those two particular keyboards, those two particular things, have had so much attention and so many people sort of drooling over them, saying, "Wow, they sound amazing," and they do sound amazing. Mm-hmm. Price point though, that's where I think Yamaha could have the one thing they could do is build a 16 voice version of this with all the effects and everything in, just as a new analog emulation thing, and they could bring it in at a price that would blow these other systems sort of out the water. It's a different thing, but it could be, they could have a lot of luck with that. I think they could have a market, but who knows?
Can I just say, Wagyu and Pat, you're absolutely right. Obviously, I missed the fact that the filters on them are genuine analog. So I just.
Yeah, thank you for that, Wagyu. We're not really paying as much attention to you as we
because they're
should
both, but they both sound great. So
they do. So okay, I did mention Novation whilst we were talking about that. My Supernova and how wonderful they are, and guess what? We have now seen that there's a 30% off with the Novation sale for a limited time. Novation have been bringing out lots and lots of these things for a long while now. Let's just try and go full screen on that so we can actually see what the blooming thing's about. Where are we? Here we go. So here we go. We've got lots and lots of things, circuit, rhythm and circuit tracks. I've never been that drawn to these, I have to say, but, you know, I'm more drawn to the keyboardy things, but these seem to have gained a lot of traction, so these I'm kind of interested in. Gents, have any of you looked at any of these remotes or controllers by Novation? Because they do seem to have had a good run of it. Any thoughts? Ken, have you got anything like this?
No. I've got controllers coming out of the wazoo anyway. But I've never really gone towards the Novation stuff at all.
Because they along with, you know, one of their first things was they brought out, said it would replicate the controller you're seeing, so filter and everything would come up on the buttons. It would recognise the soft synth you're tied into and bring that up, so you had, you know, control over those things and you could see what you were changing. It made it easier to control. We've all been after that particular Nirvana, haven't we?
Well, I went down the native instrument rabbit hole with it instead, with the complete controls for that.
And has it worked for you?
Up to a point. The ultimate super duper controller has yet to be invented.
Unless you've got an Oscar.
Yeah, if you've got an Oscar, you're laughing. And a chunky bank account. But, yeah, but this is it, you know. I think the perfect controller is something that would literally be just a very, very large touch screen. I mean, we touched on this on the pub on Saturday. And then you're just back to it being a computer screen again.
But to be honest, I've never gotten on with just touchscreen stuff. I know you've got a Raven. I had one. I tried one. Didn't like it. I have to. You know, I love the look of it. I love the concept. But when you actually start working with it, I found I was, you know, every time I touched something and I looked away because it looks like you should be able to grab bundles.
After about 6 months, I stopped using it as a touchscreen.
Yeah. So at which point, why have it?
Why have anything, actually?
Well, because it works.
Yeah.
It makes for me. It's about reducing the time between the creative thought, and it actually.
I think the one thing that killed off the Slate Raven for me was when you put the software on and you have all the various buttons and stuff come up on the screen for you to use these tools. There's almost no screen left for your DAW. So it was very cumbersome calling them up and putting them away and stuff like that. So I got fed up using it like that.
Ty, didn't you have the Raven? I mean, I know we're getting away from the Novation thing. Didn't you have a Raven at one point?
I've still got a Raven. Yeah. I was going to get the big one. What they did was they sold me the MTI, and basically they didn't have any of the big ones available for, I think it was about 6 months, and so we basically did a deal where they sold me the MTI, the original MTI, and basically said in 6 months' time, when we get stock of the big ones, we'll basically just swap them over. You know, I just pay the difference. But in those 6 months of using the MTI, I just kind of realised that it's great, but I couldn't cope with having the big one. It just wasn't for me. I think it's one of those things that you suddenly think that touch screens are the be all and end all, and they're going to solve, you know, kind of all your life problems. And then when you actually work with them 24/7, you suddenly realise that you do anything to have physical knobs, basically.
Yeah.
But
in terms of controllers, I have to say, hang on a second. That's what everybody needs, an Electro One. If you've never come across the Electro One, it kind of picks up where... Oh, Jazz Mutant. Well done, Steve. Yeah, from the...
Show it again.
So I had... what was it called? What was it? The Lemur. And so I had a Lemur back in the day, and I had a Dexter as well. And this was before the iPad, and they were great. But sorry, this, just so you know, if you've never seen this, Electra 1, essentially you can assign anything. It's multiples across the screen. You have 3 rows that you step between, and then in each row you get these 12 controls. But you can assign it to any MIDI synth, any VST synth, and it's the nearest thing to having a controller that's just set up.
And how much is it?
I can't remember how much I paid, 400 and something quid, possibly. Something like that, I can't remember. I really can't remember. It's fantastic. If you've never seen it, it's not very well known, but honestly, great, really great controller. Really great bit of kit. The Novation stuff, I mean, I had the old SLs when they were doing the, the plug-in. I'll be honest with you, it was more of a pain in the arse than it was a benefit, if I'm honest. I tried 61 and a 25 for travelling with the VST mapping, and it was more of a pain than anything else.
But these things seem to be aimed at a different market now, don't they? So
yeah, I mean that's why, I'll be honest with you, that's why I've kind of taken my eye off the ball with Novation, because all the stuff they're producing right now is just not for me. It's just absolutely not for me.
It's not aimed at the sort of
it's
performances that it doesn't have.
It's just not aimed at someone like me, and that's why if you turn around to me and said what a Novation producing at the moment, I'd be struggling to come up with model names, because I don't really. It's not my bag.
And the launch pads have been very, very successful. And here's the thing: these are all 30% off at the moment for, I think, until December the 19th, something like that. Let me just have a look. December the 19th. So it's 30% off for all of these. So if someone's, aching for a particular controller, either the circuit rhythm or tracks or any of the keyboards, the SLs, or the minis, these are good devices. I think, I'm waiting for my Easy One Play to turn up. And I think I might just get a little one of these, just so that if whilst I'm travelling, I need to, rather than using the teeny weeny keyboard on it, I'd just like to have a little keyboard to do it with, and this might just be a very good companion for that. Just for travelling. And I know a lot of people use these things, certainly in, there's a couple of guys near me that do EMOMs that are really, really very, very happy with the combination of the Launchpad and Ableton. So, yeah. So there we go. That is Novation, and the fact that they've got there's a sale on. I think it's at Gear News, but there we go. Done. So, Kent, what else do we have?
I don't think we've got much left. There wasn't a great deal of news
There
this
is.
week, was there?
We were
Push
very,
3,
very,
and
we
we've
were
got-
very thin on news. I'll tell you what
Push
there
3,
is.
and we've got HS2, HS20.
HS2, what the rail?
No,
The rail link.
Don't even go there.
You have to go almost to Birmingham and not quite to London to get it. So, are we talking about the HX20? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
Shall we have a look?
It's
Yeah, go on.
it's another software synth. Yay!
It is another software synth,
There you
but
go.
we've talked a little bit about hardware, so let's just give it a go. Here we go. Now, I have to confess, I've not had a chance to have a look at any of this. I wasn't supposed to be on the show tonight, but unfortunately you got me. And so I'm going to be seeing this for the first time, probably, along with everyone here, as long as I can actually get the bugger up on screen. Boom. And here we, I think,
Possibly.
boom. And there it is, the UVI MXI20. I'll just bring up the website so we can, HX20. I'm just going to bring that up so we can have a quick look at it, wherever it happens to be. Stop screen, yes, that's good. Somewhere here. Slides, there we go. Yeah, there it is. So let's just add it to the stage. And I don't know how to do it any other way whilst we're still on here. But it's yet another software thing, emulating the MS-20, I would imagine. It's all beginning to look a little the same, isn't it?
Well, yeah, this is a bit different for UVI.
Go on.
Well, it's the first time that it's not just sample based, basically. So you still get this MS-20 samples in there for the waveforms, but they've basically done virtual analog. Yeah, they've got some
physically modelled filters.
Yeah, it's basically it's just modelled as well. So you get two modelled oscillators and filters, and then you get sample front end with modelled filters. So essentially it's kind of two synths in one. So if you want to go along the modelled route, you can. If you want to go along the sample route, you can. And then it's just got all the normal UVI effects and modulation. The modulation routing isn't that extensive. I mean, they turn around and go, oh, it's got all these modulation points. It's actually not got that many modulation points. But it sounds great, and I think at least they're doing something a bit different. Yes, it's a kind of obviously based on an MS-20, and it sounds MS-20-ish, but can obviously go places that an MS-20 can't go. And hats off to them for doing it a bit different, even though if you really strip it down, if you really, really strip it down, it's no different to just so many synths that basically have a, look at anything from Nord or Quantum or whatever. You've basically got modelled oscillators that you can then layer with sampled oscillators. It goes back forever. So it's nothing particularly new, but for UVI, at least they're doing something which isn't just sample based, which is a good start, because we all love Falcon. Falcon's great. You can see this has kind of come from Falcon. But again, everything seems to be about that kind of price at the moment. £49 or $49 or
49 euros, yeah.
Which
Two
is brilliant.
hardware-based wavetable oscillators and a sample-based oscillator. So that's essentially three sound sources, three layers, which you didn't get.
And I know this sounds different from the Moog, but let's be honest. If you're going to spend that money, if you had a choice between spending $49 on this or spending $49 on the Moog, I'd rather have this any day of the week, really.
Kent, have you seen this? So what do you like what you're seeing? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like this because I like this sound anyway. Been a sucker for the MS-20. And I don't actually own an MS-20, so I know there's a few out there, but I like this one. Something about it appeals to me. I will be purchasing this one at some point.
You will?
Oh, yes.
You see, I can't... Here's the thing. So I did take a look at this earlier. This is one of the fews I was able to take a look at. And do you know what? I like it a lot. And I agree with Ty on this, for once, probably. I think given this or the Moog plugin, this would be the one I'd choose. But I've already got the PS3300, and this does... pretty much, that does anything this can do, plus a whole bunch more. So I'm not quite sure why I'd have a use for it.
They don't sound the same though. MS-20,
well, there's the thing: the filtering and everything else, you can switch to MS-20 on the PS3300. Yeah, so I'm wondering why I buy this. But as you say, it's a mixture of both waveform and modelling. The
3300 model doesn't really. I know there's a huge amount of Cherry Audio love here, but it doesn't. The 3300 doesn't sound. It doesn't really sound like an MS-20. And I've got several MS-20s. It doesn't.
So
sound
you're
like
an MS-20. Hang on, let me come to
well,
you.
no,
rather
only the
than
fact that I've got a few, and the 3300 is a beautiful piece of software, but it doesn't really sound like an MS-20. That's all I'm going to say. Because it's not meant to be an MS-20, it's meant to be a 3300, but they've stuck in the MS-20. It doesn't kind of sound. And to be fair, whether this one's going to sound like a MS-20, I don't know, because I haven't tried this.
And
But
is it something you'd be tempted to buy?
Yeah, it probably is actually. I mean, I've got all the. I don't do subscriptions, as people know. So I haven't got the UVI pass thing. I just buy them. But I think, yeah, this is one that I'd either buy it or for definite when they do the next upgrade of the anthology or whatever they do. When they do it, it'd be part of that. I may wait to that, or I may buy it. I think the only reason I probably wouldn't buy it and I'd wait to buy it within the bundle is the fact that, as I said, I've got so many MS-20-ish things that, really do I need another of this kind of...
Well, here's a question for you. If you've already got the MS-20, I know this does something different. Why would you be buying this rather than using the real thing? And there's lots of answers to that. What's your particular one? Why would you be buying the software version of this rather than using
it's every time I buy anything the software, unless it's Omnisphere or Falcon, the every kind of software synth I'm buying is literally the convenience. That's all it is. It's just the convenience, nothing else. Because I'm very fortunate. I'm incredibly lucky. I have most kind of synths I could possibly want, but a lot of the time when I'm doing what I'm doing work-wise and I just need instant recall and I need to keep being able to come back to it, it's a million times easier to use software. A million times easier. And I can't remember, something has to be very particular and very specific for me to use hardware in a work situation. Because, so MS-20-wise, I've got all the normal, the normal suspects, everything software-wise that's an MS-20 out there I've already got, as well as 1, 2, 3 MS-20s, kind of hardware MS-20s.
And what do you think about this interface? Does this...
I like the interface. I like the fact of it's very simple and it's very two-dimensional, and I like the fact it's not pretending to be something that it's not really. Although, by its very nature, it kind of is. But no, I like the interface. I like that kind of simplicity. I'd rather have it that way than, when we talked about the other thing you were talking about, the what was it called? The Vapor.
It's a very good question, and one which I will be able to answer.
Synth or whatever it was. That
Vast
interface, that one, that as an interface is the kind of interface you just look at and it's just like, whoa, okay, this isn't very welcoming, and that's all. That's all I kind of want from an interface. I want something that's going to be easy to look at for a long time, and this kind of interface is it looks great. It looks really nice and simple, and yeah. I mean, if I didn't have all the MS-20 stuff that I've already got, then it would be a bit of a no-brainer. So,
yeah.
So Kent's buying one, you're buying one. I can't see myself needing this. It just, I just can't.
Have you got other MS-20 stuff? Don't say 3300.
I've got.
Like
there is somewhere I've got another MS-20 plugin, but I used to have a 3300, the real thing, and I have to say the 3300, and I've also looked at Full Bucket's 3300 as well, and whatever, and he's done one of those. They're good. They work for me. The 3300 though, Cherry Audio, it does it. It does it for me. The rest,
it's great, but all I'm trying to say, it is great, but the MS-20.
But it's not this.
It's not this. It's not an MS-20. This is all I'm saying. I'm not dissing the Cherry Audio stuff at all. I'm just saying it's not an MS. It's not an MS-20.
And it was very funny when the MS-20 came out. I do remember with there's the Mini Moogs, there was the Odysseys, and there was the MS-20, and people were very divided about which was the one to have. And I always thought that the MS-20 was far and away the most impenetrable initially to understand how it worked.
But again, it's that sound thing. It's like when we're talking about the difference between digital and virtual and analog and blah, 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 blah. The reality is, if you look at those three, if you look at the ARP, the Moog, and the Korg, what you really want is all three, because they all sound different and they all do certain things better than the other. Do you know what I mean? And so in the ideal world, it's you'd have all three. But of course, the problem is back then, unless you were Rick Wakeman or incredibly rich, you had to choose one, and you had to go down that route. And I think for me, this is where for me, it was always I liked the MS-20 because I liked that kind of late 70s, very early 80s raw kind of synth pop kind of sound, which the 20 did so well, really. So I think that's kind of why I only got a mini Moog later on in whenever it was when they did the reissue in, when did they do it? Was it 17?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
See,
That was the first mini Moog I got.
I just loved the mini Moog because I could glance across at it and I knew what the sound was just by taking a quick glance at the front. Yeah, that was the thing for me. I could just go ahead and live put something together and go, I know it's going to sound approximately. I can just twiddle it when I get there.
There's also the other thing, which is, of course, the Korg PS3100 doesn't sound like MS-20 anyway.
No, it doesn't. But yeah. Do you know what? I'm just going to shut up on this because I'm going to lose.
No, all it is, I mean,
it doesn't. Oh, it doesn't.
Essentially, the circuitry is the same. The filters are the same in its component level, but the MS-20 was more punchy because it wasn't going to be passed through a divider chip.
Yeah.
For the polyphony, and you can't put a too strong a signal through a divider chip; it will distort. So everything had to be pulled back quite considerably. So you got the punch of the MS-20. You get kind of the same sound, but it hasn't got the punch that the MS-20's got, and the filters won't scream the same way because everything had to be dialed back on the poly ones. So, the fact that the Cherry Audio one, you can switch it to MS-20.
It's brilliant. It's great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like an MS-20.
It won't sound like an MS-20 because it's still modelled to be a 3100. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Modelled to be a 31 or even a 32. Yeah. So the MS-20 was the little punchy ghost. So yeah, there was a lot of people saying about what's better than Mini Moog or the MS-20. And it was two different horses in the same race, really. Right. The ideal situation was to have both. Essentially,
I guess it was. So,
yeah.
Because I don't think we're the clock is gradually running down, and because we've not covered enough software yet, I thought we ought to just have a quick list, get rid of all of that caca, and we'll just pull this up and present it. There we go. So push. Stop sharing. What? Go away. There we go. So we've got the push upgrade kit for something. Ableton. There we go. So I'm not even sure what this is for or who'd be having this. I really don't know. So
Okay,
does anyone have any info about this?
So so Push 3 came out a few months ago, and basically when you choose your Push 3, you have a choice whether you have it as a self-contained unit or you can have it just as a controller, which the Push 1 and 2 were just controllers. And the big thing was that essentially if you have it as a self-contained unit, you don't have to have it hooked up to a laptop. But at the time, you basically either chose it as a self-contained unit, or you had it as a controller with the promise that we will be bringing out the kit that will then, if you want to upgrade, you can upgrade it yourself from a controller to a self-contained unit with the computer basically built inside. And all it really is that they've now said that the kit is now available several months later, which means that anyone with a Push 3 that's a controller can now spend 800 and something quid and turn it into
£879.
Yeah, which only works out, basically, it only works out slightly more than buying from the outset one that's a self-contained unit. I think it's only like 50 quid or 100 quid or something more to do it separately rather than doing it at the time. In terms of what that means to me, I've got a Push 1 and I've got a Push 2, and I rarely use Ableton, so I rarely use my Push 2. And so therefore when Push 3 came out, I just looked at it and just went, nah, it's just not worth it.
Thing is, I've been, because I've been toying with the idea of getting Ableton again. I think it's a great piece of software. Really do think it's a great piece of software, but it's not my way of working. However, there are times, which I think you'll probably understand, Ty, where having a different DAW gives you a different approach, and there are certain projects where you just kind of go, oh, that's an Ableton one, or that's a that's a Harrison mix bus one, or this is a Cubasey one.
Yeah, completely. So years ago, oh God, I can't remember how many years ago now. I was still living in the Midlands, so that would have been at least, kind of late 90s, early 2000s, and so it's quite an early version of Ableton. And I was doing some stuff for America, and it just lent itself to that kind of workflow, that kind of it was very kind of loop orientated, and so I just did the entire project. And I didn't know Ableton that well at the time, but and you basically condition yourself to, okay, I'm going to do this project on this piece of software that I don't really know that well, which means I'll have to do it. I'll have to learn it. And so I did the entire project for about 6 months on this American show, only using Ableton. I didn't use Nuendo at all. And I got quite au fait with Ableton, and I did the entire thing. But since then, there's literally been odds and sods. It will be a certain kind of track that I'll look at and go, oh yeah, this is an Ableton one. And as I've done that less and less and less, and also as Nuendo and Cubase have kind of altered to with a slight bit of crossover, I've looked at it less and less, and it got to stage the last time I hooked up Ableton and Push, I'd basically just, muscle memory had just gone, and I was just like almost like looking at it from that first day going, okay, so how does this work? I can't remember anything about this. You know how easy it is. If you don't use it, it just disappears. And yeah,
Rob has become a really big fan of it, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's just again, it's just not the way my head works. And I think the differences for me is I used to be, before I did Nuendo and Cubase and that, before I actually got a computer system, I used to be a big MPC man, big MPC. And so that stuck for so long that now if I'm going to have to do something like this, I'd rather just do it on an MPCX, and if I'm going to do that kind of loop based, because that's kind of still second nature. So
Kent, I don't think you've ever used Ableton, have you? Or have you looked at it? Because I know you've got a copy of Live somewhere from one of your...
Yeah, I did, didn't I? Fired it up and just looked at it for about 10 minutes and went... I don't know where anything is.
It's a great bit of kit, but
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
It kind of leads you down a particular way of working, and it's just not, generally speaking, the way my head works.
Well, I'm expecting... This happens actually more often than I would like it to, but every time these kind of kits come out, my phone starts ringing off the wall where people ask me to install these kits for them.
Really?
Or, yeah.
Really?
Or I get it. With some people just don't have enough confidence. You go, oh, open it. Oh, no, I don't want to open it. Of course, on the other hand, I tried fitting it and somehow I managed to put it in upside down and backwards, and it was just a lot of smoke pouring out of it. Can you sort it for me? But a lot of people don't like opening stuff. They just don't have the confidence in themselves to open things up.
Do you know, this? Funny you should mention that, because when we moved in here, this gaff, as it were, it was a lovely place, but I'd never done any DIY, and I was terrified of doing anything. I mean, changing a light switch, someone get a man in to do it. And eventually I got up the chutzpah to just kind of start channeling one light switch, channeling the wall down, and I channeled it to within, I was measuring it. It was kind of like Excel spreadsheets and channeling and just doing this thing. We were having the whole wall, everything was being skimmed. We were having a new plaster render over everything anyway. But I'm getting this channel perfectly square and the depth right. And I spent a day and a half doing that. And then a mate of mine who happened to own a building maintenance company came in and said, it's very good. Yeah, do you want me to do the next one? I went, we have, it's going to take a bit of time. He went, no, just give me, have you got so he got this cold chisel and a hammer. He went, bang, 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 hoiked it all out, just did the square bit. I think in less than a minute, he had this whole thing channeled. And I said, yes, but it's not, he said, there's plaster going over that. I went, oh yeah. And I didn't, and it's confidence. And it's the same thing with these kinds of things. People get terrified by this stuff. Even putting a RAM expansion in a something or whatever, or PCs, putting in a new graphics card. These things, it's, if nothing else, the one thing we do have now is YouTube, which tells you how to do most of this stuff. It's not actually that hard to...
It doesn't make any difference.
Really?
Mate, let's see, it'd be about, 3 months ago now, I had a guy drive down from Leeds for me to put the factory presets onto his Jupiter 8.
What?
And I told him how he could do it. I said, have you got a mobile phone or an iPad? And he went, yeah. I said, well, you just have the connector cable, plug it in the back. I can walk you through it. No, I'd rather bring it down.
Wow.
So what do you think they'd do with that?
Well, he would probably be a Genos 2 owner. But...
dear.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, they've done this, and it's if it's your kind of thing, they have done what they said they would, which is bring out the upgrade. Now I'm beginning to understand what the blooming hell it's all about. It's an expensive upgrade, but I guess not.
Fair, but I was going to say it's not that expensive when you think it's turning it into, essentially it's putting a computer inside it. That's essentially what it's doing. Essentially, It's making it so you don't need a laptop. It's complete standalone. I mean, that's not going to be a cheap upgrade. So,
yeah, what I go saying about that Jupiter 8 guy, he just really wanted Nelly in the balls. Funnily enough, he got what he asked for because it was precisely what happened.
Steve Elbows. So the machine and pads were my favourite until I got Push 3.
Oh, the Push 3, don't get me wrong. Everything I've seen about it, it's a great bit of kit. It's a really great bit of kit, and I think if you use Ableton, I think it really is the dog's bees in terms of, it's the way to go. But
Chutzpah. Dr. Mike Metley, what are you on? Of laughter and horror and what Chutzpah? Why is that funny? Someone explain.
I don't know.
No, but there we go. But we're very grateful for your $5. Listen, we've had very few donations, and thank you very much, Mike. It's very good of you to do that. I've not been really keeping.
It's because I'm on.
But we've had $5. So now we've got $5. The show's a success. We can go to Robbie.
Well, there was a couple earlier. Andrew Brooks did one. Yes.
Andy Brooks did. He always does one. Let's see if we can.
Did one.
Really? You see, I've missed all of this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try and find them if I can. I can't. Oh, there's another one. Mr. Heck. There we go. £5. Guess who's officially part of Electra One? No idea what that means, but thank you.
Electra One. No, Electra One, the controller. Robert's part of the team over here in the UK.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well,
So-
Robert, thank you for the donation. And yeah, Electra 1. Yeah, do it. Yeah, that. Whatever that is. Oh, look at this. We seem to have a flow now. Where is
You
it?
started a trend.
We have started a trend. Mike Hunter. He's probably down the bottom somewhere.
You watch. If I mute myself, everyone will start donating. If I mute myself.
Okay, donate if you would like it. There we go. Wagoo. Thank you so much, sir. Look at this. £5. Can Ty comment on if the 100-foot Santa is erected?
Yeah.
Can I point out this conversation came back into the equation a week ago, and no, it did come up again about whether to, and I was told that we weren't going to be getting the 36-foot Santa.
Aircraft were using that as a bloody
honestly,
location point.
I'm genuinely disappointed, but I mean, we can say all this because Robbie's not here. We all know what a flipping grumpy humbug twat he is when it comes to Christmas, and we can
Surely
say it 'cause
not.
he's not here. He is. Oh my God, get him talking about Christmas. Humbug, hate it. It's
They
fantastic.
subscribe, by the way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, honestly, the lights are out. It's 1,000% Christmas here, and but no, there's not a 36-foot Santa because I've been told that it probably would be a bit tasteless.
Mr.
Oh, we
Brooks,
just
thank
talking
you
to-
so much. Always.
Yeah.
Always, the stalwart, and we were going to send the Penguin of Death round if he hadn't have turned up with something. I believe. I've not seen. Is Matt in here anywhere? Because
Yeah, Matt's in.
Yeah.
Matt's in. Are you there, Matt? Have you got a picture anywhere of the seal of approval? Yeah,
Probably next to his working display in his Juno 1.
possibly yes.
Now-
And
now
look,
that you
Mike
put it back-
Hunter. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much, Matt. As ever, look at that. Bloody hell, Longhurst seal of approval does not approve of what? What does he not approve of? They're going to have a chat later.
Yeah, well,
The Penguin of Death and
I'm going to
seal.
get a
Hang on.
Giraffe of
Appreciation
irony.
ties. I'm
A
just seeing
giraffe of
There's another
irony.
one here. My
Oh, look
Somebody
at this.
Electric.
Yeah, thank
An
you, sir.
appreciation
Ty's
of
T-shirt,
Ty's
and can he
t-shirt.
please explain it? Go on, you got to explain it now. Thank you, by the way.
I don't quite know what it is, but it's a full-blown synth with oscillators and filters. And I did have to actually explain this to someone who didn't have a clue what kind of filter cutoff was and all that kind of thing. I had to turn around and start going about envelopes and filters and yeah. I
I'd
don't
like
know why I
that to
started
work. You see,
conversation.
that now should be on conductive material so that it actually works.
Do you remember? So years ago, my mother-in-law at the time bought one of those T-shirts that was like a guitar. Have you seen these? It's like a guitar, and you kind of have a thing, and you basically strum it, and it she bought me one of those. I mean, it was literally like she thought obviously musician and tech, and thought
Now,
honestly, it was the biggest pile of.
We've had a very handy contribution from 2X Orb. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that could happen. I think that could happen just in time for Christmas.
I will not be silenced.
No,
That kind of thing, isn't it?
no. I love the Genos too. So, that was sincere. What do you mean it wasn't sincere?
You even sounded like Gordon Brown.
Yeah.
What I find hilarious is that this is actually very similar to the whole Top Gear thing with the Morris Marina.
Mm.
It's exactly like that.
Oh,
It's
yes.
that kind of,
Yeah.
Do you remember? They
Yes, I
came
do.
after them. They came after the Top Gear team, and it's a bit like that. I want to point out that I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't on that show. I had nothing to do with it whatsoever. It was so I haven't given my opinion on these things.
And quite right. There is an audience for it, and they're delighted with it, and that's all that matters.
There is on one of my pubs, unless you want me to delete that as well.
No.
What, my opinion?
Yeah.
Is that what, on the Genos?
Yeah, on the pub, yeah. You had a little
Is
go.
that-
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, in which case.
Yes,
In the
stop.
You broke my bleep machine.
I just...
But here's the thing: we're running down close to the end of the.
I didn't
of this-
think it was going to take this long to ruin the franchise, personally. But
Well, no, neither did I. But one thing, this isn't software, but it's not. Well, it's sort of hardware related. We've talked a lot about Dina recently. We had her on with the Cherry Audio lot when they released the Pro Soloist, and this caught my eye earlier, which is the Bob Moog Foundation. The widow of Herb Deutsch has donated all of the paperwork, all of the early documents, etc., from his early days to the Moog Foundation, which is going to be an incredibly rich source of information for anyone that understands or wants to know more about how all of this started out. He was absolutely seminal. People remember Bob. I think outside of the community, fewer know of Herb, and this is just getting this kind of stuff together, including his. There's a letter here from him. Let's see if I can zoom on this. Hang on a moment. There's a letter here. Where are we? Boom, 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 boom. Let's try and zoom this even more. It was his letter of engagement, I think. Dear Mr. Deutsch, in this letter I want to formally invite you to visit us this summer and to experiment and compose at length on our electronic music studio equipment, etc., etc. So it's got, look at this, signed by Robert. That's history. And we all know how that
That's
sort of
absolutely brilliant.
that all went on. So that was a very generous donation by Herb's widow, and it will form a really good part of this. And you know, they're like Dina's art foundation, Michelle's, you know, the Moog Foundation, which Michelle runs. They both have really, really good programs going, trying to encourage people to get involved and to make it accessible to people all over the place. And I think it's really admirable. So if you're wondering what to do with your money this year, I mean, you can give it to us at Frome Hall Mill, the thing that we're doing. But if it's something you want that's more related to these, there's lots of people asking for money, but the Moog Foundation and the ARP Foundation are both very worthy because they're doing really good things and bringing music, opening up music to a whole bunch of people that otherwise wouldn't have it. So there you go. Go and take a look at the Bob Moog Foundation, and you can find out more about what this documentation is and maybe even have a chat with them about it. And that, I think, is just about it. We've got 4 minutes to go. What do we do now?
smash the sets up.
Yeah, all right, that'll work. What do you think,
Yeah.
Ty?
I'm smashing nothing up.
All right, here's a question for you. Ty.
Oh, go on.
What synthesizer is there that you would really covet that you don't own?
Genos 2.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, the nearest I've got, and I've said this time and time again, is I mean, literally, only really a Fairlight, really, and I could, you know, I've had the opportunity to have a couple of those, but it's just at some point common sense gets the better of me. But that's literally it. I mean, it is. I'm incredibly fortunate that. Oh yeah, actually no, 2500. But it's
2500. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, probably.
What about
2500.
System 700?
Well, no, but I mean, when Kent had that 700 that was up for sale at the time, if I'd really wanted it, I could have had that. But again, You know, the difference is that when something comes up where you, come what may, you have to have it.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
There's a difference between that and so the 700 came up. I could have had that. I didn't have it. And do you remember when that 8 voice came up, Kent? And I could have had that and didn't have it. So I honestly
that's
think,
still up, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So I honestly think all the things, I'm in an incredibly fortunate position, but all the ones that things that I really want, I have, and apart from a Fairlight, and then every time I think of the Fairlight, all I think is it is literally rose tinted spectacles. It's just memory lane. It's just so that I can load it up and play those sounds and go, oh my god, I'm 15 again. And then it'll just sit there and not do anything. And so
Gather dust, yeah.
Yeah, and so at that point, I just kind of think, okay, don't be a dickhead.
Yeah, but you are kind of talking about a good 60% of your studio falls into that category. So it doesn't really matter,
I can't
does it?
argue.
Not
with that.
really.
I can't argue
Yeah.
with that.
So why haven't you, or have you been looking for a 2500? And is that one of those?
Because
ones
it's
where
not something. It's because I think even the fact that I'm struggling. The fact that if I wanted a 2500 that badly, the moment Kent turned around and asked me that question, I turn around straight away and just go 2500. When you're talking about the kind of money you're talking about for 2500, do you know what I mean?
It's almost £13.
Exactly. Yeah. If it's not, there's literally nothing that I would sit there and go, oh god, I really want that. I would have to think about it, and my argument is you're having to think about it, the kind of money that these top end stuff go for. If you're having to think about it, you shouldn't be spending 100 grand, 150 grand on something that you have to think about.
And I've got a 2500.
Yeah, so have I. A P2500.
Yeah, P2500.
Yeah, I know.
And there we go.
I've got one
there
of
we
those.
go. So we're drawing to the end now, folks. And I was just going to mention there are a few events going on. I think JX3D is doing his seniors thing tomorrow,
Yes.
I believe. But Kent, are you doing a pub?
Well, after, if I'm going to,
There we go.
because I can't do both because I'm on it as well.
Aha. I
Along
might
with
join
Manny.
that one tomorrow.
But the thing is, I'm supposed to be doing the quiz on Sunday, and the birthday quiz Sunday. But
Oh, of course.
that would have to start now. Thinking about it, because it would have to start after Jamie's
Thing.
Yeah.
And are there any? I've not seen in the chat. Are there any EMOMs on tonight, tomorrow, over the weekend? Is there anything happening on that front? By the way, I haven't forgotten that we're going to be looking at doing an EMOM in Stroud in January. I'm still trying to pull that together. I'll be talking
We've
to
got
some of you
Rand's
guys.
tomorrow, haven't we?
Have we?
I think Rand has probably got a show going on. I mean, he started all this Jamtubber stuff that's got me going down more rabbit holes now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Well, we need to have a chat about that.
there's plenty happening. So I don't know whether to do the quiz tomorrow night after seniors or Sunday after Jamie's.
Well, I do it on Sunday because I can't do tomorrow night.
Yeah, we know. You see, Brooksy has to go to bed early, isn't he? And he's probably the
You've
only
got to
person who
choose
can answer half the questions that
You've got to
Fiona's come
choose
up
your
with.
You've got to choose your favourite friend. Then it's either Brooksy or me.
No, it's got to be both of you. I want both of you, darling. You know what? You know how I'm into
I
everything.
notice I'm not included in that.
No, I do.
Yeah, well, you're always there. You're like the bad smell that's always there. You know?
Oh, that is very true.
Talking
That
of
is very
bad
true.
smells, how's the DX7?
Oh,
DX5 or
So
DX7.
just talking about no. So I fitted a new screen to DX7, all fitted fine, all lovely, and then I left it plugged in, not switched on, just plugged in. This DX7 hasn't been switched on for a long time, and I came back to the studio a couple of hours, and the best way I described it to Kent was, do you remember when we were kids and you had cap guns?
Yeah.
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 You know the smell of the
Smell.
caps, how amazing that smell was. it's lovely when you can then smell it and then put it away. But basically, the whole studio smells of cap guns. So something, and I traced it round to it's the power somewhere, the power supply on the DX7, and I haven't switched it on again since, which is very annoying because I've just received the Hydra Synth cartridge for it that I really want to try, but I don't really want to plug it in knowing that my DX7 is burning from within.
Well, I've got the 5 with 2 of those, and they're amazing cars. Love them. They're really good.
Ian in the chat has just pointed out that Jamie is not doing a show this week on Sunday, so it will be Sunday.
At what
Yay.
time?
Probably 7. It's good
Cool.
enough, isn't it?
So it's going to be Sunday, which is the day I can make it. So
Yeah.
Brooksy,
Oh, Brooksy can almost certainly make it Sunday as well. He can't
I
stay
thought
up
you said-
late.
well,
He can't stay up late.
He can't stay up late anyway, just because. That's
Well, no,
just
he can't stay up late. But if it was on a Saturday, he could stay up past 8
to
o'clock.
9
Yeah, because his
o'clock.
bedtime's about 8, isn't it? Something like that.
So
On school night.
It's Kent's birthday quiz on Sunday, probably starting at 7 with Andrew Brooks and Ty Unwin, and I'll probably be putting in an appearance. Have you got one of these shirts on there, Kent? I have. You know,
Yeah, I got one. Yeah.
Oh,
You know? In my size.
I've still got 2 for you. I've got 2 for you. Don't worry.
Oh, thanks, Andrew.
Don't worry.
Yeah, but
Don't you worry.
I've
Right,
got
it's
knobs.
time.
I've got knobs though. Remember, I've got knobs.
Yeah, well, I didn't
both
like
of
to
them.
say.
There they are. One there.
It's normally the first word that springs to mind.
Yeah. Me.
Absolutely.
Right, so listen, we're going to wrap this whole thing up now. I think we've got to the end of 2 hours. We've managed to not completely screw up the entire format, which is.
Oh, I don't know. I
is
think we
always
did a pretty good job of screwing up.
Well, yeah, I didn't do the most amazing.
Well, I
job.
practiced how to start the show, and I forgot that I didn't practice how to stop it.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
the
the-
thing. That was the thing.
Something overlooked.
However, we're going to be wrapping this up shortly. So I just want to ask you, gentlemen, Ken, do you have any plans of the weekend other than your show? What else is going on? Have you got anything else happening?
Yeah, I've got a memory Moog I've got to finish.
Hang on, you're retired.
No, this is bleeding over. No, what it was all done. It was at the front door ready to go, and then the guy decided he wanted a MIDI kit fitted into it, so I put a MIDI kit into it, and now it's completely bloody broken. Because you don't open up memory Moogs and hope that they work afterwards. So I have to sort that one out tomorrow morning.
With a hammer.
No, you've got to treat it with kids' gloves. It's no fun at all.
And a hammer.
I can use harsh language on it. That's...
Lighter fluid. That would work.
I might get the aardvark of indecision to do it for me.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. And Ty, what have you got any plans for the weekend?
Tomorrow evening, I'm going to Blenheim Palace to see the Christmas lights. Cause
Oh, that'll be cracking.
anyone that's ever been to Blenheim
Oh, hello,
Palace, the Christmas lights are amazing.
I've not
So-
been to that for years.
So,
Do you know,
yeah,
I'm
so-
just wondering whether or not I.
You should do,
try.
because honestly, they're just amazing. So doing that tomorrow night. But other than that, the weekend, honestly, I'm going to be learning my Cascadia basically.
Your what?
The Cascadia, the thing I showed you.
Oh,
The
that
thing you showed
that
you.
box with the
Yeah,
aluminium
yeah.
cheeks.
Yeah.
Nellie's just come in with the weather report. It is apparently cold and raining.
Tipping down. Yeah.
Isn't it? Thank you.
And in case you were wondering what I'm doing at the weekend, I'm mostly
Well.
going.
No, Ken,
We
are you
won't.
bothered
I
what
want
he's
to
doing at
tell-
the weekend?
But I was.
Ken, are you bothered what he's doing at the weekend?
Oh,
No,
I-
I'm not bothered what he's doing at the weekend. Anyway,
no.
thanks everyone.
Couldn't
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Thanks for-
Bye.